Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you. And I really appreciate you being here. So we're going to have fun tonight. Be about an hour or so, more or less. And the time should flow rather quickly. I am really happy because I don't get to do satsangs often enough, and this is a real blessing for all of us, but specifically and especially for me to be able to, kind of go into places that are for me even a little different than what I normally do. So I'm really, really happy to be here with you guys. So let's just start. The first part of what I wanted to talk about is what we're doing here. What is satsang? Okay? What is really ultimately, what is yoga? Okay? And how does satsang relate to that? So let's just talk about that for the next 5 minutes or so, and that will lead us into the rest of our conversation. We have a little program here. It's printed out here. We'll hand out a few of them. Okay? So you don't need, not everyone needs one, but you can see that we're going to start with what is satsang. Then I'm going to go into a small discussion that's kind of based on what I've written here. Then will come our questions and answers. Okay? You could ask verbally or you could ask the written question. Okay? And then I'm going to do a guided meditation for about 7 or 8 minutes from one of my masters. And then we're going to do chanting, kirtan, related to what we talk about here, okay? Or what we talk about on the other side, yeah? So everything should hopefully come together nicely. And once again, thanks for being here. So what is satsang, okay? Let's start with that. Well, this is really like, in the regular world, for people that want to socialize or do social activities with their friends and all that. In the normal world, that would be go to a bar, that would be go to a club, that would be do something like that. Well, in the yoga world, going out and having fun with your friends is called satsang. Okay? This is the social activity of yogis. When we get together and we get to enjoy our community together and we get to do things that bring joy. Okay. Of course, the difference is that with satsang, the quality of joy is a little bit different than perhaps the quality of joy that we get in the material world in those other activities. This is more of a absolute sustaining joy, and the other one is more of a fluctuating thing. So that is the idea of satsang, but what does it really? It means that the community, which is the sang part, the word in Sanskrit is sangha. Sangha means community. You might have heard of that in Buddhism. And then sat means truth. So we're talking about the community, us, coming together in the name of truth, or in the name of consciousness, or in the name of divinity. And so I want to kind of break this down just a little bit more, okay? Because, what is even truth? Why is it important that we come together? And why is truth the word here? Because this idea of truth, it doesn't just relate to facts about the external world. This is talking about the truth of who you are, okay? And the truth of reality, okay? And so the ability to see truth through fiction is one of the most important qualities of a yogi. In the chakra system, the ability to see truth is up here. This is the third eye. This is the ability to see through what they call Maya. That's a high level of consciousness, and this is actually the goal of what we're doing here. We're here to talk about and to share experience, whether that's meditation or experience of chanting, or experience of different, this discussion, so that we can all come closer and closer to truth. But the truth of what? The truth of who we are. Okay, the only question worth asking and the only question worth answering is this one, according to yoga. And I want to just kind of break this down because we're going to talk about who am I in a moment. Okay, and the answer, as far as yoga is concerned, when you ask who am I, and we're interested to get what is the truth. Well, the answer is I am pure consciousness. That might sound weird, or it might sound far away, like different. But, the fact that you can see out of your own eyes, the fact that you have any perception, the fact that there is anything that you can perceive at all is because of consciousness. You have it. You are conscious. But you're not the only one who's conscious. Everyone here is conscious. And we don't have different consciousnesses. There's only one. There's only one. And that's either called God, or it's called different names, different languages, or it's called something ultimately, like I say, it has many names and it has no names. Because this is something that is really beyond our ability to comprehend, but it is still us. We can't comprehend it, but it is us. So we are it. We don't have your intellect can't get it. It doesn't have to get it. It is it. So this is why the Brahmanic mantra, there's two. One is I am that. I am that. Right? That. There's no word for that. It's just that. It's that. It's everything. And the other one is you are that. So if I speak to myself, tatvamasi, I speak to myself. It says you are that. Or I speak to myself, aham brahma, I am that. In either way, these are powerful mantras that are describing the reality of who am I, and how does it relate to this? Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Because there's too much misinformation, too much misguidance, too much, we could say, suffering being caused by misguidance and incorrect information. Okay, why? Well, because, if people are kept in fear, then they're easy to control. I'm sure you know that. But when you start to learn who you are, you start to have less fear, and you start to think for yourself, and that's what a yogi does. Okay? Now, I'm going to just kind of keep flowing with this. This whole talk, I don't expect this to be an hour, so I'm going to get this all done in about 15, 20 minutes so we can keep moving. But I do want to bring this up. Okay, I'd like to bring this up. I haven't really emphasized it that much in the teacher trainings, so this is something that will be a nice, maybe, addition. I might have already mentioned it, but not in the way that I plan on to now. So, I want to talk about energy. And I want to talk about the chakras, and I want to talk about Kundalini, and I want to talk about the idea of Kundalini rising, what everyone's heard about, and I want to understand what that is all about, and how to get it to happen, and what it means. Okay, so let's kind of look at that. And then that is going to kind of tie right into the mantra that we're going to do tonight. The mantra that we're going to do tonight is for Ganesh. Okay, and Ganesh, I'm going to tie all of this in to how this all kind of really comes together. Okay, and the meditation is really wonderful from one of my best masters of all. Okay, so I want to talk about energy, and I want to talk about Kundalini Shakti, and I want to talk about chakras and consciousness. So let's do that for a few minutes. Yeah. According to the tradition of Tantra, which is where Hatha Yoga comes from, there is a destination of consciousness ultimately. Most of us right now who are in the regular world, the consciousness of the people means where is their mind, means where is their head at, where are their thoughts filtering, where their perceptions seeing. Most people are in low levels of consciousness. Okay? Most people are either stuck in fear of survival or territoriality, or they're stuck with some sort of imbalance or preoccupation with sexual energy, or they're stuck trying to manipulate and control other people These are all types of lower levels of consciousness that you would see the vast majority of humanity exhibiting. Okay, and very few people begin to exhibit the frequencies that are higher than that as far as yoga is concerned. So this is the whole thing. This is what I want to kind of discuss here. And what I want to discuss is why. Why are most people stuck down there? Which is the same question that I will ask, which is, how come if people are doing these practices, and people have been doing yoga for 5 years or 10 years or whatever, how come they're not enlightened yet? Like, what's taking so long? Like, what's going on? What's the obstacle? Now that word is the answer. And it will also be what we'll be looking to dissolve. And that word is obstacle. What's the obstacle? Because that's what this is. We are about to talk about an obstacle. An obstacle to what? An obstacle to the flow of the rising of consciousness. There is something blocking it. See, this text, okay, I brought it with me so you can see that it's real, okay? This is the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. This is one of the 3 or 4 fundamental original texts describing the science of the right-handed path of Tantra, which is called yoga, Hatha Yoga. And this book describes very, very specific formulas about how to get this to rise. Okay? It really offers 2 different approaches. I'll talk about those 2 approaches in a minute as far as how it's suggesting that you're going to get this to happen with the practices of Hatha Yoga. But what I'm trying to, or beginning hopefully to share with you, is this idea that energy flows naturally. This is the first thing I want you to get. You don't have to tell energy how to flow. Okay? Energy will flow by itself. You know, if you know things that are energetic or that have metaphors of energy, like a river, okay, water flowing down a river, do you have to tell the water how to flow? Now, if you wanted to block the river, you could, right? You could block the river, build a dam, right? You know that word in English, the dam blocks the river, and now the water stops and it accumulates on the other side. You could do it. It would block the river. And then, if one day you decide to break the dam, or someone destroys the dam, and now there's no more wall, does the water just stay there until you tell it to start flowing again? Or does the water immediately start flowing as soon as the wall is broken? Which one is it? You can answer. The last one. Thank you, Benjamin. Appreciate your audience participation. And you know, that was an example of a flow of energy moving horizontally. But the same thing is true of anything that would be flowing both vertically and up and down. So if I had a fountain of water and it was always flowing because of, it was artisanal or something was coming out, and I blocked the fountain with a huge boulder, the water won't flow. But if I remove the boulder, the water will flow. You understand my metaphor here? The metaphor is you don't have to whip energy. You don't have to prod it and poke it and try to stimulate it. That's not what they're suggesting. The energy is going to flow by itself. What you got to do is you got to eliminate the obstacles to the flow. Okay? Now, eliminating obstacles between us and self-realization. Eliminating obstacles between us and that which is our true nature. Our true nature is joy. Our true nature is peace, but we don't feel it because of the same obstacles, the same ones that are stopping our Kundalini. In fact, it's the same thing. The reason why we don't feel it is because our Kundalini has been stopped. Why? Because of the obstacles that I'm going to describe right now. So basically, in this system, sitting right below the heart and right above the 3rd chakra, or it could be anywhere below that, is a massive weight. A massive weight, a massive obstacle that's pushing consciousness down. This is what is being described. That you have energy and it wants to go up, but it can't. Because it's got something on top of it. What's on top of it is pushing it down. And that is what's stopping the rise of the Kundalini. Now, so what is it? It's because we have only 2 questions now. Question number 1, what is it? Question number 2, how do we get rid of it? Because I hope you appreciate that if I can get rid of this obstacle, I don't have to tell Kundalini how to rise. You don't have to tell energy how to flow. It will go up all by itself as soon as you clear the way. Okay? And this is why I say this metaphor of clearing the way, that's Ganesh. Okay? Ganesh means many things, but one of the things it means, one of the things that he represents, here he is in the corner, and that's why he looks like an elephant, is that he's the one that removes obstacles between you and self-realization, between you and fearlessness. It's Ganesh. That is the power, and you just, when we're chanting these mantras, you can just like kind of imagine that Ganesh and a herd of elephants is in front of you, and you're just pushing forward, and they got it. They're knocking everything down. There's nothing going to stop you. Well, let's finish this by answering our questions. What is it, and how do we manage it or dissolve it? Well, okay. So what it is the fact that you have never answered this question correctly. Not only have you not answered this question correctly, it has been answered for you in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different levels. This question has been told to you. This answer. Who are you? Okay. Well, you are your physical body. You are your age. This is what you believe, right? This is how we grow up. This is how we think. You are your hair color. You are your hair pattern, You are your bank account. You are how many kids you have. You are your marital status. You are, okay? All these things. And also, combine your misidentifications with your misperceptions. You don't see things for what they are because your third eye isn't open. So you're only seeing things in Newtonian physics in the basic way. You're not seeing quantum stuff. So you not only don't know who you are, nothing that you see is accurate. All of that together creates this burden, this weight on your consciousness. In other words, the sum total of your misidentifications and misperceptions creates this block. And that's why you don't know who you are. Because you're too busy with these suggestions, if you understand that word from the teacher trainings, with these suggestions of who you were told that you are. Okay? Now, that might have served you for a certain point of your life, but for the spiritual journey, you've got to get out of these relative truths and move into the absolute truths. Now, are you a mother? Are you a husband and wife? Or are you a sister and brother? Yes, you are. You are also that stuff. That is true. But that is true in the relative world. And you do need to have one foot in the relative world. That's true. You would honor that. Honor your roles. Honor the fact that you're an incarnated human being. But guess where the other foot has to be? In the absolute. And you always need to be walking with one foot in the relative and one foot in the absolute. So yes, we honor the relative world. We do. We honor the material world. People are hungry, they need to eat. There's no spirituality on an empty stomach. We've said that. We honor it. But, gosh, at the end of the day, the real service for people is spiritual knowledge. Let me tell you a small story about, if you've heard it before, and that's the nature of these satsangs. Sometimes that happens. But this is about my guru who ran a program for homeless people. So he had homeless people in India that were living on the streets, and then he brought them homes. So he made this housing project. He put all these homeless people, and he put them in houses. And then 6 or 8 months later, he noticed that what happened to the people in the houses. Well, all those people had sold the house, went back on the street, and drank their house. Because what the master had done is he had taken them out of their physical scenario, but had not changed their level of consciousness. In other words, they were not in any way growing spiritually. So they were stuck with the same level of consciousness, but they were just in a house. Well, that doesn't help, because they didn't have a level of consciousness that was able to sustain a house. Well, so the next time he did a scheme, he changed the scheme. And he said, okay, if you want a house, you must sign up for a weekly meditation class. And if you get a weekly meditation class, then you can get the house. Well, at that program, everybody stayed in the house. Okay? Because it was the meditation that allowed people to have a different perspective and how to see things from a higher level of consciousness, see more of the truth, and then that was able to allow them to sustain their material life. So I just want you to understand these things are related. And we need to honor both. All right, so I've talked about what this is. It's your misidentifications, is that you don't know who you are, is that you don't see things with precision or with accuracy because of all the Maya out there. And so that's this. Good. So how do we get rid of it? What do we do so that this can flow? All right? Well, now I'll talk about the two approaches to this system of yoga. And one of them we'll be doing in the meditation today. Okay? So one of them, during the meditation, I will guide you towards one of these approaches. And the other one is the one that you probably already know about, or at least have heard about. So in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it's really talking about two different ways of rising consciousness. One is called Nadi Yoga, Nadis, and the other one is called Agni Yoga, Agni, and Agni means fire. So there's really two different, or at least two different, very specific formulas for what do you have to do. One formula related to your nadis, which is a pranayama practice and visualization of the different channels, and then the other one is related to something called Agni, which is fire. Okay? Now we're going to focus on the second one, the Agni one today. Okay? Because ultimately that's probably the one that is most effective at destroying, or we can say burning, incinerating this. And that's what this needs. What needs to happen, it needs to be incinerated. It needs to be burned. That's what they're saying. That's what this is saying. That this exists. It's going down. You're going down. What do? You have to incinerate it. How do you incinerate it? Well, that's Agni Yoga. Agni Yoga is the practice of visualizing different forces in your body that normally move in one direction, and you're going to change that direction and move them in different directions so that they meet in your fire pit and they explode, and that explosion melts this. And that's the formula. Okay? The formula is that, and I'll now make it a little bit more clear, and then I'll take some questions, and then we'll continue on. Okay, but let's talk about the formula. The formula is, you've got, we're talking about the vayus, okay, the pancha vayus, the 5 vayus, and if I go a little bit over your head, that's okay. I'm not going to take the 2 hours to go where I would maybe be able to go with this. But this will definitely be enough to get you started and to hopefully whet your appetite to learn more. Okay, so anyway, you've got 5 vayus, all right? And vayu means wind, and these are expressions of prana. So they're really, it could be called 5 vayus, they could be called the 5 pranas, okay? And we're interested in 2 of the 5 that are really important for this particular practice. And one of them is called, believe it or not, prana. Don't be confused. It's also called prana, but this is one of the subsets. And then another one of the subsets is called apana. All right, so I know that this is far out stuff, and that's okay. Just a little kind of introduction. Now let me explain this. Prana is an upward, energizing, activating force that comes in on the inhale. And it's an energy of in and up that is represented or expressed through the inhale. This is the force of pran or prana. Apana is another force in your body responsible for your elimination. Okay? So the force that allows you to eliminate, defecate, urinate, menstruate, childbirth, anything that's sending things out and down, that's the force of apana working in your body. So you have a force that's sending things down and naturally, and you have a force that's sending things up naturally. Okay. Now, what is the goal of Agni Yoga? The goal of Agni Yoga is to turn them and invert them. So with Agni Yoga, we're going to take Pran, which normally goes up, and we're going to send it down. And we take Apana, which normally goes down, and we're going to bring it up. The two of these pranas, the two of these winds meet, and that creates a third force, which is of extreme heat. And that's called Buddhi Agni, the Agni of the mind. And that third force is, and we visualize it as a white, hot heat that is able to incinerate our misperceptions and our misidentifications, so that we can have a higher level of consciousness, which will then answer the question of, who am I? And what is, of course, the answer to that is, well, I am that. I am the consciousness that cannot die because was never born. Yeah, that is loving awareness. That's infinite in being. This is I am that. Okay, so this is that. All right? So that's the practice. We're going to do it when we do the meditation. Okay? We're going to be guiding, I will be guiding you to inhale and feel and see energy going down. So that will be the prana going down. And then you'll be visualizing exhaling and seeing your energy going up from the pelvis up and see the meeting. Okay, and that will be a small guided meditation towards the destination of Agni Yoga. Okay, so I know that was probably a pretty, scattered overview of different things. I hope it was helpful. And now I think we're at the point where I will accept some questions. Okay, so why don't we take a minute or two? I will sit in quiet. I'll just sit here and relax and take my time while you guys close your eyes if you want and think of, is there anything that I've said that brings up a question, or is there anything that I haven't said that brings up a question, or anything that you already came here wanting to know? Because that's why we're here. We're here to clarify and to illuminate and to, together, because if you have a question or a doubt, there's a very strong likelihood that other people would be sharing that. Okay? Because we all have the same mind. We all have the same, mechanism. The human mind operates very similarly. Okay? So that's what I will say. I'll wait another minute or so. If you don't have questions, I guess I could theoretically continue, but I do hope that you do. Okay? So let's take a minute, and then when you do have them, you can write them down. And if you do write them down, you can give them to Johanna. Okay? And if not, then I will simply wait for the next minute. If you have a question, you can already just raise your hand too.
So I can ask my question like this.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
So how I find out where my obstacle is sitting?
Okay.
Because sometimes, you're in your mind or you have something
Sure.
in your thoughts. So
good question, yeah.
Probably there's like a way of meditation. That's probably the answer, but how I can, or what technique I can use to find it out.
Well, the only place that it could be stuck is, really it could only be stuck below the heart. Because if the heart's open, the amount of energy and power in the heart by itself, the other chakras don't communicate to you at all, really. You don't feel them. So it would have to be below the heart. Because if your heart's open, you've already reached a level of consciousness and that you wouldn't need to be concerned with that. So then the question is, really, and it's a good question, how do you know where you're stuck, or what chakra is the one where you're most stuck at, which essentially would answer your question, because it would mean that your attention is being held there, so that means that you're stuck at that point. So then the question is, where is your mind? Okay, so that always answers the question of what chakra is imbalanced or what chakra is not open. It's where is your mind? Okay, so if you are observing your mind, which by the way is the most important skill any yogi can ever have. You must observe your mind. You have to watch it. You have to know what's going on. Not identify with it. That's a big difference. You need to watch it like it's somebody else's mind. so that you can analyze it. So you can see where it is. And then you see, okay, well, if I'm stuck, from a male perspective, I'm stuck always thinking about sex, and I'm stuck then you would know that you're stuck in the second chakra, okay? But based upon your thoughts, you'll know where your level of consciousness is, because your thoughts are the expression of your level of consciousness. So if you're feeling unconditional love, or if you're feeling, relationship to the totality of the universe, then you're at a higher level of consciousness, and then nothing would be stuck at that point. Does that make sense? Okay? But whatever it is, this formula is going to incinerate it wherever it is, because the fire is only going to be in one place. You're not going to move the fire around. The fire is here, and it's going to create a tremendous heat. That heat's going to be so hot, it's going to melt it if you're blocked 1, 2, or 3. Okay? And if it's above that, I don't think it's really related or relevant. Yeah? Because you're already in a really good place. Yeah? Thanks. Yeah. That's helpful. Okay, anything else? That's why we're here, is the questions and answers part. Girls, teacher training girls, I know you already have me, you always can answer I can always answer your questions during the week, but nonetheless, a whole year or a whole 6 months of not seeing you. Any questions? No? Okay. All right, online? Yeah, Annika?
Question.
Sure.
If one of the energies, maybe the down energy apana or the up energy is disrupted, is it also possible to create the fire? But you both have to flow first, and then you can create.
Well, they're always flowing. They're operating, or you're dead. Okay? These are operating.
For example, if like women have not regular menstruation or things like that.
Yes. Well, that certainly is related to that, but I do not feel like it would require that you cannot do this practice. Okay? It might actually be helpful. In fact, it's really it's really important that we're able to be working with both energies psychically in order to help heal what might be an imbalance in these energies. So it's actually quite a valuable practice. Yeah. Question came up? No?
Yes.
From online?
Zoom.
Okay.
Tai dice si puedes repetir lo que dice.
The question.
Porque no se escucha.
Yes. The question was, if there are issues with apana or prana, does that preclude or make it impossible to do these practices? And no, it's the other way around. These practices will help that. That was the answer. Thanks. All right, so then we'll move on into the meditation, okay? So let's get ready for that, okay? So get comfortable sitting position. If you have something that I don't have, like a block or something, you would use it now. Okay. And then feel that the crown of your head is aligning over the base of your spine. Close your eyes. And begin to consciously deepen your breath. Breathing in and out through your nostrils, with the intention that your inhale and your exhale be smooth and continuous. Gradually move towards the complete inhalation and complete exhalation. As you breathe in, your spine grows taller and your collarbones lift. As you breathe out, softly contract the navel toward your spine. As you breathe in, feel a sense of the crown of the head moving up towards the ceiling. As you breathe out, feel a sense of grounding, stability around your lower back. Please continue. As you refine your breath, be aware of your spine, continuing to grow vertically, particularly on the inhale. As you exhale, be aware of a sense of stability, solidifying around the area of your lower back. Continuing to apply these principles on the inhale and the exhale. Now I'm going to ask you to move inward and become aware of the inner dynamic of the breath. At the end of your exhalation, start with your awareness in the chest or the heart center. As you breathe in, sense the breath descend like a wave towards the base of the spine and pelvic floor. As you exhale, sense that wave rise back up through the torso, back to the heart center and chest. So still maintaining the physical focus that you first established, but now adding to it by sensing this inner dimension of the breath. Descending wave as you breathe in. Ascending wave as you breathe out. Now have the intention that the inner dimension or wave of the breath is like a wave of delight or joy. Feel the gentle movement of the mind, ascending and descending from the heart downward, from the pelvic floor back to the heart. Continue to cultivate ultimate ease and freedom. More and more perceive that this inner movement of the breath, this wave that is ascending and descending, is an expression of delight. Please continue. Keep your breath as smooth as possible. As your mind follows this movement linked to the breath, you sense that you're becoming more and more aware of a feeling of deep peace, clarity, freedom, joy. For a few more rounds, be aware of your mind, becoming more and more completely absorbed in the state of absolute peace and joy. Now relax the technique, please, and rest your awareness in your heart. Resting your awareness in your heart center, simply relax. Be aware of being completely carefree. Absolute ease and freedom. Please slowly come back to your breath and be aware of your body breathing effortlessly. Begin to lengthen your inhale and your exhale. Your next exhalation, lower your chin towards your breastbone. Bring your hands together and creating heat in the palms of your hands, keeping your eyes closed. Place your hands over your eyes. And as you open your eyes now, feel a sense of the warmth from your palms penetrating and recharging all of your senses. And when you're ready, bring your hands to your heart and slowly come back to life. So that was a little example of how we use our awareness to move energy up and down the spine. In that case, we didn't connect them, but that was one of the preliminary practices. Any feedback about the meditation? Questions about that before I conclude with the description of our kirtan and the mantra that we're going to chant together? So if you can get the video ready. I'm going to play a 1-minute video. Okay? You know, in the real satsang, when I say real, I mean if I were in a place where I lived, you know, like if you were in my home in Colombia, I would be surrounded by my teachers. I would be surrounded by pictures of my masters, and they would be with me, you know, and so you wouldn't think that I'm just here alone, because I didn't come here alone. I came here with a large force of wisdom that has propelled me. So, because I don't have a picture of my gurus, I will instead play a 1-minute video of one of my most important teachers. I do see that there was a hand that was raised. I'll tell you when, not yet. We're going to turn that towards the group as well, so they're going to see that when the time comes. But if you can check to see what that question was before I move on. Okay, let's talk about Ganesh. And let me know, was there a question or was I not?
No.
Okay, so no.
Chat.
Was there a question in the chat, is what I'm asking you? ¿Hay pregunta?
Sí. I think we don't have a
That's German. I don't read German.
Sorry.
Okay, isn't it so that every human being when it is a little child, isn't the first levels of awareness and grows naturally above that?
Hopefully. So the question is about chakras, children, and levels of awareness. And yes, the chakras represent a developmental sequence that is natural at first. Naturally at first, as an infant, the only thing operating is the first chakra, because the only thing that it needs is food to survive. After that, the first chakra develops in the second chakra, where it's not about what do they need anymore, now it's about what do they want. And so that's the second level. Then later on, the child or the adult or the human will then grow into the consciousness of power. And they'll say, oh, okay, well now I have what I want, so who the hell put you in charge? You know, and the kids start questioning their parents, they start questioning, okay, and that's that, right? That's the next level. After that, no. After that, there's no natural evolution. After that, it's spiritual evolution. Okay? All humans mostly will get through up to that point, and most people have those three things going, and that is true developmentally. But at that point, after that, all the bets are off, and then it would likely either require that you are born at a high level of consciousness as an incarnation or as someone who's born that way, or these practices are going to have to help you get there. Yeah, that's a nice question. Thank you. All right, so I talked about obstacles, and that the point of spirituality is to not change. You don't have to change. You don't have to change yourself. You don't have to change yourself. You have to get rid of the obstacles between you and enlightenment, and then you will just naturally feel that which you are is your nature to feel. The reason why you don't feel it is because we're stuck, or all of us are stuck with all of these false perceptions and false identifications. So this is the mantra to Ganesh. Now, if you are from one of these, monotheistic traditions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and you feel like this kind of contradicts your religion, you don't have to chant it. I'll tell you that it does not contradict your religion at all, actually, because this is not meant to be seen as a replacement to the principle of one God. This is an aspect of that principle. This is a part of the spectrum that the totality of the spectrum is God or consciousness or intelligence. The totality of it is. But this aspect of Ganesha is a part of that. Ganesha happens to be a pretty huge part of it in the way that it's seen in the Vedic culture, because Gana means all individual beings. And Isha or Ishvara means Lord. So actually Ganesha means Lord of all independent beings. That's quite something to be presiding over. Okay? But for us specifically, Ganesha is used as a means to help us clear the path between us and self-realization. The word Pahiman means protector, and so does the word Rakshamam. They both mean either guardian or protector. Okay? So we're chanting to Ganesha. Okay? In a very, what we call bhakti way. That means our heart is open. Okay? And we're going to feel the love. And the first few rounds, you're going to hear from my teacher. He's going to chant it 3 times. Okay? Who I consider to be one of the greatest gurus of all time. He's my personal teacher, guru, master. I kiss his feet whenever I see him. He is pure and perfect. And it is my honor to share him with you. His name is Master Dharmamitra. Okay? So now we're ready. You can turn that and press play on the screen. So if you can see him, that's fine. If not, you're welcome to get up. Go ahead and turn the screen when you're ready. Once he's done chanting, we're going to continue chanting the same way. This is the mantra we're going to chant. Okay? Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Pahiman, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha. There's probably one more. Shri Ganesha Rakshamam. So that's how it will go. We'll let him play it. He'll do it first, then we'll chant it many, many, many times. Okay? Careful. Open the screen and start it from the beginning. The Lord reveals himself only to his devotees.
First, supreme bliss radiates from the heart region, and this is just a little bit, just the sign of him. The rest will come later. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Daiman. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Rajamam.
Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Pahiman, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Pahiman, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, rakshamam. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, rakshamam. Three more. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, lakshama. Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, pahi mam. Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, rakshamam. Sit quietly with your eyes closed. We will chant one more mantra, one more kirtan mantra, to celebrate the divinity and the greatness and the majesty all around us and within us. This is the mantra called Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I will call it out and you repeat it after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Three more. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sit quietly with your eyes closed and feel the energy charging your body. Many ways to create and feel energy moving the body, and one of the best ways to generate energy is through the chanting of Sanskrit mantra. Feel it. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a time now to just feel a sense of gratitude for this community, for this sacred space, for the masters that have come before us and all the benevolent forces in the universe that have helped to propel us to be here now. Gratitude. Visualize your intention, your direction. Let's close with 3 soft Oms. So, one of my gurus says something very specific about satsang. He says that the most important part about satsang is that we come together, and that when we leave here, all of our cares, all of our stress, all of our tension, it stays here. It doesn't leave with us. That has now been released. Released to the earth, which can assimilate it and neutralize it with ease. And as you leave here free of burden, free of stress, and free of anything that was holding you back. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate every single one of you. I know that you could always be doing something else right now, but you're here, so thank you. And I hope that this was something that served your best interest. And if you have any way I can help you more, or deeper, or more specifically, let me know. Thanks, everyone. We have some fruit, so we can bring that in and share some fruit. And if there's any other questions, you're welcome to ask me, or just enjoy the time that we have together. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks, online crew. Same for you guys. Let me know anything I can do, and message me individually, and have a really wonderful night. Thanks, guys.
Please do not sell at the end of.
Ha pavitro va sarva drashta gato piva yaha sumrit sabahya. Pavitraha pavitro va sarvavastangato piva yaha samrit sabahya yentraha sachi pitrova sarvavastangato piva yaha samrit pundri kaksham sambhya yahendra.
It was nice.
Thanks for coming.
Did you need it? Back?
That's not a very helpful question. I guess you have all the answers.
No, I don't.
Okay, thanks. Good? Good review? Good. Excellent.